So welcome to everybody for this webinar, first in a while, that is going to be about MagHealy, and particularly the FSM, frequency-specific microcurrent, programs within the MagHealy, which of course, because it doesn't use microcurrent, we will call them frequency-specific magnetic field programs. I want to focus on that aspect of MagHealy because it's new. It's a departure from what has been available in the Healy up to now. It's also a departure, and it's different from the other three types of application within the MagHealy. It's really quite different, has very different origins. And because I love FSM and love Carolyn Mc Makin, I have so much respect for her. She trained me, she trained all of my friends and colleagues in Time Waiver. And I wanted to share with you the magic of frequency-specific modality. I'm going to begin by sharing my first slide, and on that is a disclaimer. And just before I do, I realize that not everybody knows me. I began in 2020, early 2020, to give talks on Healy as a Time Waiver practitioner. I believe we're called Time Waiver experts now. I had been using Time Waiver for 6 years, 7 years at that point. And I was using Healy already for 2 years and supporting clients of mine who already had Healy since 2017. So I did a lot of webinars in 2020 and 2021 to support the community to understand more about what Healy is, where it comes from, and what it can achieve with you. I think, yeah, I'm based in London, but I have, through Zoom, obviously, through the ability to see clients over Zoom, I've now been able to support so many people and meet so many beautiful souls. I cannot begin to tell you what that means to me, to be part of this web of high vibrational souls. And I'm a born teacher for sure. So I love to share knowledge. I love to give people more clarity. I love to answer questions. And we will get to that at the end today. Okay, so I'm going to share screen now. And we're going to read the disclaimer. Let me just fiddle here for a moment. Yeah, make it bigger for you. Good. So the magnetic field programs of the MagHealy device are not acknowledged by conventional medicine due to lack of scientific evidence in the sense of conventional medicine. The magnetic field programs of the MagHealy device are not medical applications. They're not intended to cure, treat, mitigate, diagnose, or prevent any disease or medical condition. So I think that's the most important thing to bear in mind, that we are not treating medical conditions. We're not promising any outcomes with regard to your use of the MagHealy. MagHealy programs should not be treated as a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek advice from a qualified medical professional if you suspect you have a medical condition. And always use your MagHealy according to the instructions of use. So there are a few documents that come with the MagHealy that I'm going to point out to you. as we go along. Okay. So, good. I hope you can see the whole screen now. Oops, sorry. So I want to begin, as I usually do, with an overview of what we're going to cover. I don't know how long it's going to take to cover these things, but I will try to not go too much over an hour. Okay. First, I always want to create the bigger context, to describe the bigger context in which we are speaking and sharing Healy and MagHealy. Then I'm going to do a brief history of FSM, frequency-specific microcurrent, a brief references to PEMF, pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. Then come to talk about the MagHealy, where I will give an overview of everything that's in the MagHealy. But the rest of the time, and most of my preparation, has gone into showing you a little bit more information about each of the 24 FSM Mc Makin programs in your MagHealy. I'll say a bit about at the end about the possibility of expert programs on your MagHealy, and then look at your questions. So I'm just going to check whether there's any important message that I should be aware of. I think everything's okay. Yeah. So, the bigger context, vitality and purpose. So it came to me earlier today to speak about this. When I was thinking of purchasing Time Waver nearly 10 years ago, I started to watch all of the videos that Markus Schmecker had made in Germany, the ones that were in English at least. And what I saw that most moved me was his view that while health is important, the real importance lies in when we have health, what does that allow us to do? And he spoke a lot about our purpose, our larger purpose in being here. And the fulfillment of our soul purpose being the top priority, actually. I know all of us want to feel comfortable in our bodies, and that's a totally natural thing to want. We want to be well, we want to have clarity and energy. But what those things allow us to do is to be able then to fulfill what we want to fulfill, what our heart's desire is to fulfill in this lifetime. So I want to speak a little bit about vitality. You might think that vitality is like energy, physical energy. And it isn't. It's something that's hard to define, but it's bigger and goes beyond just physical energy. I equate it with life force. So vitality to me is the extent to which the life force is able to flow through me, and the strength of that life force. So when we use Healy and MagHealy, what I suggest and encourage you to do is to tune in and ask yourself how vital how strong your vitality is, which is separate from whether you're in pain or not in pain, whether you're tired or not tired. How strong is your vitality? How strong is that force within you, the life force that wants to flow through you, that allows you to express uniquely the energy of creativity, of purpose. So that for me is the bigger context in which I use Healy and MagHealy and Time Waver, is can I always keep my vital force strong and clear? You know when you meet someone when they have a strong vital force. You just know it. And you know equally when you meet someone and their vital force is low. It's that, in my opinion, we're wanting to support. Okay. I'm going to now give you a brief history of frequency-specific microcurrent. I do want to stop for a second and just see if there's any important question. I don't think there is. Good. So if, yeah. Okay, anonymous attendee, I got your question. The difference between FSM and the FSM programs in the MagHealy. Good. So let's go to the next slide, and I will make that clear to you. Good. So we have a lot of words here. FSM is frequency-specific microcurrent. Before I read all of that, I need to just define what frequency-specific microcurrent is. So it's the delivery of current carrying specific frequencies using two channels at the same time. So two circuits, two electrical circuits, two electrical currents, each carrying a set of frequencies, but running concurrently with each other. Channel A is carrying a set of frequencies for the issue, and channel B is carrying a set of issues for the tissue that's affected by that issue. A series, actually, of issues and a series of tissues in the same program. And I will finish the explanation then and say that obviously with Healy, we are familiar with microcurrent carrying frequencies. What's now possible with the MagHealy is that we, instead of using microcurrent to carry the frequencies into the body or into the field, we should say, we use a different modality called pulsed electromagnetic field. But still, in the Mc Makin FSM, frequency-specific microcurrent, frequency-specific magnetic field programs. This is the new name for them because they're not delivered by microcurrent, but by magnetic field. Still, in those, two frequencies are delivered at any particular time. The same programs that Carol has developed for use with microcurrent can now be delivered using magnetic field with a set of frequencies for the issue running concurrently to a set of frequencies for the tissues affected. And that's what most of this webinar will be about today, showing you the difference. A little bit of history. Going back to 1946, Harry van Gelder, originally from Australia, moved to the States in 1946 was an osteopath, bought an osteopathic practice, which happened to have in its back office an old machine, a frequency machine, that had a few sheets of paper with it. And on the sheets of paper were lists of frequencies. And Harry covered it over, left it for quite a while, before he then began to look with interest at these lists of frequencies and experimenting with them. So he ended up incorporating those frequencies into his energy work. He was a very, very well-known healer. He was trained in homeopathy, in acupuncture, and lots of other energy techniques. And he had many, many successful cases in the West Coast where he lived. Radionics and frequency therapy had been widely and successfully used until the early 1930s, where I think many of you know or can guess what happened then. Okay, but it's had a resurgence, and now we're kind of navigating a way to use these modalities alongside more traditional ones. George Douglas met and trained with Harry van Gelder. And in 1981, he began to use microcurrent to stimulate acupuncture points with specific frequencies, discovering that the frequencies had a very, very specific effect. And we're talking, by the way, about a relatively small number of frequencies, probably a few hundred. And that these frequencies could be directed and targeted at specific tissues, which he also was discovering the frequencies for. So partly he was discovering it, partly he inherited some of the knowledge through Harry van Gelder and people who went before him. So George was Carolyn Mc Makin's teacher originally, as a chiropractor. They ended up falling in love, getting married, and having many, many, many happy years together. She worked with George from 1993 to research the effects of specific frequencies on specific tissues. She has published many papers. And I'm just going to click on this link quickly, or yeah, I'll share screen on that link because I want to show you her website and say about her that she has taught and trained hundreds of practitioners, published 2 books. If you're a beginner in FSM or FSMF, read The Resonance Effect by Carolyn Mc Makin. It's wonderful, very easy to read. And she teamed up with Time Waver in 2021 to create the MagHealy, but she has been working with Time Waver. So I met her in, I think, 2016 or 2017. She was already working closely with Marcus at that point. So let me just share a screen, a slightly different screen for a moment. Carolyn, here. Actually, I think I will instead click on that link. Purse. Frequencyspecific.com is her website. Frequencyspecific.com. And on that website, you'll find a page. Yeah, if you click on the About page, you'll find FSM research. And there are many, many, many great case studies that have been published. And this is all using microcurrent, carrying dual frequencies. I don't know if you followed me as I went into that page. And now, just one moment while I find my way back. You know how when you share screen sometimes and you hide the meeting controls, you can't find the meeting controls then. I need to find the meeting controls in order to share screen. I know some of you know what I should do and would love to tell me. Yeah, I've got it. Okay. So sorry about this. Thank you for your patience. We still see you and the MagHealy screen slide. Okay, let me just try then to stop share that and to share what I wanted to show you, which was this one. Okay, I know now what I need to do. There's her website. frequencyspecific.com. Okay, and it was over here in the About section. Good. Okay, back to our PowerPoint. So that's Carolyn, the creator of frequency-specific microcurrent, and the influence behind the Mc Makin programs on your MagHealy. Going now to the next slide. PEMF, pulsed electromagnetic field applications. This is a little bit technical. I'm not going to spend much time on it, but basically I want to repeat what I said before. With the MagHealy, we have moved from microcurrent delivery of frequencies to magnetic field delivery of frequencies. Basically, when you run a current through a wire or any conductive material, as the current flows through the conductive material, it automatically and naturally creates a magnetic field around that material. And this method in your MagHealy uses two coils. What you see in the gray there, that's the wire coil. There are two of these, and wire is coiled like that, so that as the current flows in that circular motion, it will create a magnetic field at right angles to the flow of the current, always at right angles to the flow of the current. So then you have an electromagnetic field. These occur naturally wherever you have either magnetism or electricity. So electromagnetic field, EMF, you're quite familiar with it. There are many, many different ways of producing it, many different examples of it. So here we have these coils in the MagHealy, each generating a current, that is going to carry a very particular frequency at each stage of the program. I've put a link in there. You can, when you get this recording, you can look up that link, but it's just one of many examples of published papers on the effectiveness of PEMF. Okay, now I'm going to ask somebody to tell me, can I leave my Zoom meeting controls at the top, or do they block your view of my screen slightly? I hope you understand the question and somebody can answer it. I can leave them. Thank you, Lene. You don't see them. Excellent, Shannon. Thank you. Thank you. Good. So here's an overview of the MagHealy. And there are 4 different types of application. As many of you know, there's the classic, there's the water, there's the atmosphere, and there's the Mc Makin. So I'm going to briefly define each of those. But first, I'm going to categorize the first 3 together by saying that the frequencies that are delivered in each of these 3 that you see on the screen all come from the hundreds of thousands of frequencies in databases used in the time waiver frequency software, which were used to create the Healy programs that you are familiar with. Hundreds of thousands of frequencies, the majority of which came from a man called Nunonina, whom I hope all of you are familiar with, another highly intuitive, gifted practitioner who's been working with Marcus Schmeke from the beginning. I'd say at 2010, probably 13 years now or more. So all of these sets, these 3 sets of programs on your MagHealy, use those databases of frequencies. And these programs are created according to themes, as you can see. The classic applications I see them as personal, individual use. So you, for yourself, you look at each of these programs and decide which one you would like to, which one you need. For example, if you need grounding, you might choose the Earth program. If you want to meditate, you might choose the Sound of Silence. Vitality is there. The water applications, on the other hand, allow you to deliver this sets of frequencies from the large databases of Nunonina mainly into your drinking water, which can be shared with the family. And what you're doing there is you're imprinting. You're sending the information contained, like the message contained within each of these frequencies, programs. You're imprinting it into water, relying on the memory of water, the capacity of water to be restructured by messages, by information, and to hold that restructured pattern for hours or days. And then when you drink that water, that restructured pattern delivers that same information to your body, which can receive it and understand it in its own way. You know, this understanding, even about the memory, the capacity of water to be imprinted and to remember the imprint of certain substances, and even what would I say, emotions that are imprinted into the water. This knowledge is really quite recent. So humankind's understanding of life and its complexity is growing, but we still don't really, there's so much we don't understand, but I think we've come to a point of accepting that we don't always need to fully understand how things work. If we can experience it again and again, then we can trust that experience. I didn't say at the beginning, but I'm trained as a homeopath, and there are many cynical people who knocked homeopathy because they couldn't understand how something that's been so diluted could possibly affect the mind, body, and emotions in such a powerful way. I mean, they denied that it happened because they couldn't understand how it happened. And it takes humility for us to accept that we've probably got just the tip of the iceberg of the knowledge of how the divine created all of this. So we accept that the journey of us fully understanding it is going to continue for quite a while. Let me speak about the atmosphere applications. So they also use the multiple hundreds and hundreds of thousands of frequencies put together into databases, which are then selected in the creation of each of these programs according to the theme. These beautiful programs can be run in a space to harmonize the atmosphere of the space. What do I want to say about that? You just have to try it to see how amazing it is. And of course, some people are more sensitive than others, but I ran when I was driving with my son 2 days ago, I think, in the car for about an hour. Went to go to the dentist, and he was not feeling too well. And I ran, I'm trying to think which one was it. I think I ran stress. Yeah, I ran stress program. By the time we got there, he was singing. I noticed, I was like, a definite change in his mood since we got in the car. And it was so easy to do that. He didn't know I was doing it. Didn't know what I was running. Okay, lots of questions. Okay, I'm going to stop for a moment and see. Sharda, I'm focusing here on the next page, which is all about the FSM programs in this webinar, okay? We would need 3 webinars at least to go through all of what you see on the screen. Yeah, so I'm just going to continue to what I have prepared, which is the next slide and the next and the next. So let me go back for a second and say, on your MagHealy, you have got 14 classic plus 24 water plus 24 atmosphere plus 24 FSM. So 3 24s, 60, 72, 82 and 4, 86 programs in total. You can see why I wouldn't even consider trying to cover all of them. Just one. Okay. So what we are going to focus on is this section, the Mc Makin harmonization programs in MagHealy. I have copied little icons for each program. And I have to apologize now. I ran out of time. I think I've done about 20, missing about 4, but by the time you get this recording, I will send you the slides with all 24. So what you see here is the name of the program, the issue being harmonized, and the tissue being harmonized. And by giving you this little bit extra information, I'm hoping that you will be able to better appreciate the purpose of each program and the benefit that you could get from each program. Because when I got my MagHealy and I looked at the programs, I saw some of the names don't represent what the program does very well, and you might miss the opportunity of benefiting from a program in that case. So In the middle column, the issues being harmonized. There's never just one issue being harmonized. There's always 2, 3, 4, 5. And you will see as we go through these that the same issues are repeated again and again. For example, inflammation. So inflammation can affect any tissue in the body. And usually where there's inflammation, there's pain. In this first program, Body Comfort, the focus is on the spinal cord, which, if there's inflammation in the spinal cord, there can be pain in the limbs, in the arms, in the legs, in the fingers, the toes, the shoulders, the hips. So this program can be used for pain that may be originating in the spinal cord inflammation. That frequency for inflammation is also followed by a frequency for congestion and a frequency to increase vitality. But in this rare case, in this program here, we just have one target tissue, which is the spinal cord. Going to the next program, let me just check for questions. Please let me know. No, you're okay? No, Natalie? Now, yeah, so Natalie, I completely understand that, of course, as you're watching, you're going to be thinking, oh, I wonder if that would be good for me in this situation or for my children in that situation. And I won't be able to answer those questions in the webinar, obviously. But as we go through, at least what I want to give you is enough information that you will be better able to choose. Okay, going to skin harmony. Now, you wouldn't have known that skin harmony is best suited to where there is some break in the skin. The purpose of these frequencies is to guard against infection, to reduce bleeding, and to repair. We have a frequency. You might notice it on your Healy sometimes. It's 124 hertz. It's the frequency that Carolyn Mc Makin calls torn and broken. It's kind of a language that you pick up and begin to speak fluently. So this, we call it for, we abbreviate it to torn and broken. So any tissue in the body that's been damaged, whether it's external on the skin or internal, applying that particular frequency can help to support and harmonize that tissue's ability to repair itself. I want to stress, frequencies are not doing anything to the body other than supporting the body to do what it naturally has, this divinely given ability to repair itself, to function at higher ability. So the frequencies are supporting that natural function. With this particular program, not only is the skin targeted, but also the muscle sheath, or as some of you will know, it's also called the fascia. That sheath, the very thin cover that surrounds every muscle, small or large, in the body. Okay, we move down now to next program, prostate harmony. So prostate harmony uses frequencies that are associated with reducing inflammation, congestion, clearing toxins, and increasing vitality. And those frequencies are carried in the program alongside another set of frequencies using the other magnetic field, because there are two. The other magnetic field is carrying frequency 5 Hertz for the prostate and 472 Hertz for that whole prostate area. I hope this is beginning to be clear to you. Finally, in this screen, we have a program called soft tissue. So what I want you to do is to begin to look at the issue frequencies, look at the tissue frequencies, and you'll begin to get your own sense of what this program is supporting. So whereas the skin program was focusing on the skin and just the outside of the muscle, this goes a little deeper. It's targeting the elastic tissue in the body, the muscle sheaths, but also the connective tissue in the body. And by the way, as you run your program, you will see the pairs of frequencies. I haven't listed them here. I'll leave that to your individually if you want. If you're interested, you can study the programs as they run on your MagHealy and yeah, learn how they run. So we move on now to another program, soft tissue week 1 to 4. As the name suggests, this is a program to run as soon as possible after an injury to the soft tissue. It has the frequencies torn and broken, reducing inflammation, reset. So I'm going to speak about this frequency, which I call reset. I think Carolyn calls it reboot. This frequency has been found to restore proper functioning when it's targeted at the issue. So an issue which is traumatized or damaged can remain energetically in that state of trauma. Even when physically there's healing, the tissue can still carry that memory of the trauma. So the reset frequency kind of reboots the tissue so that the memory of trauma is cleared and the previous level of functioning is restored. On this side here, we have 116, all tissues. I'm not exactly sure why Carolyn says all tissues. I also know that if you want to run something for the entire body, we could just put 0 Hertz and allow the current to just flow through the whole body. But when you want to target all tissues, yes, you can use 116 Hertz. Here we have elastic tissue, muscle sheath again, connective tissue, and nerves. Okay. After exercise, the frequency torn and broken to repair any, because there's micro damage, you know, when we go to the gym and we work out really hard, there's micro damage to the muscles. It's not a bad thing. Recovery is part of, you know, gaining of strength involves that micro damage followed by recovery, the rebuilding of the muscle cells and tissue. So we encourage that with this frequency for torn and broken. Reducing inflammation, increase vitality. Many programs, I would say most, I probably didn't type it there by accident, but all these programs in my experience end with a frequency to increase the vitality of those tissues. Okay, neck harmony. So this is a program that targets quite a number of areas, from ligaments dura, spinal cord, nerves, cartilage, disc, joint capsule, periosteum, muscle sheath, and the medulla, part of the brain that's involved in repair and recovery. And finally, on this page, joint. Inflammation, repair, increased secretions, vitality. And when we're talking about joint, we're targeting cartilage, bursa, tendons, connective tissue, ligaments, joint capsule, fascia, and periosteum. So I'm not using this webinar to give advice about where you could use these programs. I'm leaving it up to you to see for yourself where you feel you would like to experiment and try them out. Let's move on. Joint balance. So there's an example of one where it wouldn't be obvious to you that this program lends itself to a recent injury. Frequency for reducing bleeding, trauma, the torn and broken, in the artery, ligaments, muscle, connective tissue, tendons, periosteum, bursa, muscle sheath. Okay, I'm just going to check the questions. Natalie, that's a nice question. You said, is there a connection to the same program in the Healy itself? The answer is no. There's no correlation between these programs and the programs on the Healy. None. None. You have to see it as different modalities, completely different modalities, which will have different effects, both of which would be, effective in different ways. In my experience. So different modalities, no correlation between the two. Nicola, you're asking about frequency 10. Let me just find it. If I don't find it, I think you will have to write your question again. Oh, spinal cord is 10. Spinal cord is 10. So, yeah, of course. So I'm not sure what your question is there. Okay. Where are we? I'm going to check for another question now. Does the MagHealy analyze the programs that the body requests? Not inside the MagHealy, no. But there is a way that you can use your Healy Resonance or Healy Professional in the Blue app to analyze the MagHealy pages. You can do that. I hope you're aware that you can do that. But within the MagHealy itself, you go in and you select your program according to what you feel you need. And I do agree that this is probably something that holds people back from using the MagHealy and possibly even from purchasing the MagHealy, because you've got the names of the programs to go by, but apart from that, not a lot of more specific information. So I wanted to address that as much as I could within the restrictions that we have, understandably, in terms of the language that we use. Okay, questions are still coming. In using the programs, what is the percentage? And what is it doing? What is it doing when you move the percentage up and down? Is it increasing the magnetic field, Teresa? Exactly. That's what it's doing. And if you look in your manual, you'll see it says quite clearly that as soon as you move the MagHealy away from the body, the strength of the magnetic field decreases quite strongly. Although it does reach a total distance of 1.5 meters each side of the MagHealy. So that's a total, what do you call it? Circumference? No. Diameter? Yes, a total diameter of 3 meters. Okay. But if you are wanting to run a program, and that's relevant in the sense of the atmosphere programs. But if you want to run a program for yourself, for a part of your body that you're focusing on, follow the instructions on the screen of the MagHealy. Place the MagHealy as close to that part of the body as possible so that you're getting the strongest magnetic field. Good. Going down. Serenella asks, is there a correlation between the coil and the MagHealy? No, there isn't. So let me explain the difference. And I'm going to break it into 3, because first, before the coil, you had, oh dear, I have to pause for a moment. My son is downstairs wanting to get into the house. He left his key. I'm going to leave the recording. 1 sec. Thank you, everybody. Good. Where was I? I'm going to go back to before there was a coil with the Healy, there was just the Healy. And the wires. The wires delivering frequencies into the physical body by means of the microcurrent, which, by the way, itself has got benefits, physical benefits to the body. 1 sec. And many people discovered that they could run the pink Healy app wireless and still benefit. So the generation of the frequencies inside of the Healy was enough to communicate the information carried by those frequencies into the body. So people who didn't get on with microcurrent for some reason and didn't want the benefits of microcurrent found that they could still use the Healy wireless. Okay, but what Marcus did in creating the Healy coil was to, how will I put this, deliberately change the frequencies carried by current into pure information that is then sent deliberately into the information field of the user. Now, once we begin to talk about the information field, we are going outside of the three-dimensional world that we live in, and we are engaging with the higher dimensions, fifth, sixth dimension. The sea of information in which we all live, in which our bodies communicate all the time, in any case. So with the coil, we are sending the information contained within the frequencies into your information field. It becomes information field application, whereas the Healy with wires was not, or even wireless was not. These Mc Makin programs do not interact, at least not deliberately, do not interact with the information field. Using a quantum sensor to send the information of the frequencies into the information field? No. And that's a misunderstanding that some people have, that the Mc Makin programs use the quantum sensor. They don't. All of the other three categories of programs do, and I forgot to say it earlier. But Mc Makin programs do not use a quantum sensor, do not engage with that higher dimensional aspect, but simply stay with the physical frequencies for issues, targeting specific tissues. I wonder if that's answered your question. I think it probably has. And I took so long to answer it. Nicola, does each program have a pool of frequencies and the device sees which one the body needs and sends those? Thank you, Nicola. Good question. Yes, in the case of the three categories, the water category, the atmosphere category, and the classic category. Those three categories, yes. A selection is made from databases of frequencies using the quantum sensor. Whichever frequencies pop as the top three most relevant in the moment that the random event is generated as the program runs, those frequencies get delivered from a large pool of frequencies. In this case, with Mc Makin programs, no. Everybody gets the same frequencies. You'll see when you run these programs, you can write down the list as you follow it if you have time, same frequencies every time. That's the difference between FSM that Carolyn Mc Makin teaches and frequency applications that we use with Nunanina and Deep Cycle and all of those. Both are incredible. They just work in different ways. I'm going to, before I answer more questions, I love that you're asking questions. I'll just go through this a little bit. Tendon harmony is pretty obvious. Lower back harmony, obvious as well, how that could be useful. Foot harmony I found interesting when I studied it, because I can see, although it's called foot harmony, I don't see why it would be restricted to the feet. I think you could run this program for any part of the body with those issues. There are two issues that I want to speak about here: fibrosis and scarring and calculi. So you know, when you've had an injury, it's quite natural that the body will form a scar as part of the healing mechanism. It's necessary. But of course, months later, you don't need that scar anymore, and it's no longer what you want to continue to have. So what's amazing is the way Carolyn Mc Makin discovered how effective certain frequencies are for dissolving what we call adhesions. Dissolving calculi. So you know how There can be calcium build-up in certain joints, in the bones, that can be quite painful. There's a particular frequency involved here in dissolving those. Okay, moving on. Good, I will. Okay, sleep. What do we need for deep sleep? We need to clear emotional and mental tension. We need to deal with any trauma, even you know, many traumas. How many of us have many traumas we hardly even register, but they lead to a buildup of stress over time. Okay, why do we have these adrenal cortex, kidney, liver? Because these are the centers associated with certain emotions. Like kidney, for example, is associated with fear, liver with anger. So it's clearing the emotional tension from those particular organs. Resetting the parts of the mind, the brain, that at the end of the day would be like meditating. Good. Brain harmony. It's quite similar, actually. The two programs are quite similar. Nerves harmony. So this is a program like the first one that focuses mainly on one target only, and aims to help the body to heal the physical nerves after trauma. Emotions. Frequencies for mental tension, emotional tension, inflammation in those parts. SNS, nervous system, sensory nervous system. Okay. Soon we're going to come to a blank. Yeah, we come to the end of what I had prepared. Thalamus. Let's speak about the thalamus for a moment. So it's the pain center in the brain. And it there's a thing called thalamic pain, which is pain which is difficult to explain, because the source of the problem is no longer an issue. You know, healing has happened maybe to the limb, but there's a part of the brain, the thalamus, that it's like has not reset itself, is still carrying that memory, and is still causing physical pain in the body unnecessarily. And one of many amazing things that Carolyn Mc Makin did was to discover that when she would target that pain center in the brain using 89 hertz with these frequencies here, she was able to help so many people with chronic pain. Now, obviously, the source of pain, different sources of pain, there are many different sources of pain. So you need to, you know, if you have pain, you need to go to a medically qualified practitioner to find out, as best they can, determine where is the pain coming from. This is the key. Once you know where it's coming from, then frequency-specific microcurrent can target that issue, that tissue, actually. Okay, vagus harmony, the final one that I'm going to talk about. The vagus nerve, we know, you know, leaves the brain and travels down with branches going into the solar plexus, going into the digestive system, going into the breathing mechanism. So those, both the root of the vagus nerve and also the branches of the vagus nerve are targeted with these frequencies to release trauma. because the vagus nerve is very much involved in the carrying of messages to the brain when we experience trauma. And it sometimes also can get stuck in a traumatized state, continuing to tell the brain that we are unsafe, long, long after the event has passed. So to be able to reset the vagus nerve so that it carries instead the message to the brain, we can relax. The danger is over. It's a wonderful thing to be able to do. We have detox program. That's kind of self-explanatory. Kidney harmony. When you get the slides, you'll be able to look and see what particular issues might be useful. Digestion harmony, women care. I love the icon for the woman. Ovary harmony and sinus harmony. I really apologize. I didn't realize how long it takes to go through each of the programs and watch them running and see. Okay, MagHealy expert programs. All time waiver frequency experts who are additionally trained in FSM with Carolyn Mc Makin can create FSM programs for MagHealy. So you have an expert program page on your MagHealy with 12 spaces. You can ask an expert, time waiver expert, to put ordinary expert programs on there. And you know me, and you know Derek and Kevin and Jai in Holland, and Martina in Germany, Trisha in India. These are the people who come to mind immediately. We all have our banks of expert programs that we have been sharing with the community now for some years. So the page on your MagHealy that has 12 spaces can have ordinary expert programs, and you run them holding the MagHealy close to the body, if you wish, rather than having them on your Healy. It also gives you more space for extra programs. But very recently, Time Waiver in Germany have designed new software which now allows us to deliver FSM programs. And we can't call them FSM because it's not microcurrent, it's MF, FSMF, magnetic field programs to the MagHealy. So if you look on my website, you will see that I have created a category, FSM and FSM MagHealy. And you could do a search in those categories. Actually, sorry, you could just click on those categories and you'll find whatever programs are specifically frequency specific, if you wanted frequency specific programs. Okay, now I'm going to go look at questions. I'm down to at 5:55. Linnea, good. Cynthia, can the MagHealy be used by those with pacemakers, unlike Healy? I'm afraid not. If you look in the, it's not the manual, it's the instructions for use document in your back office or on your MagHealy. You can download it. Instructions for use. It will show you there that it's not recommended for use where there is a pacemaker. Geert. Is there a quantum sensor in the MagHealy? For the first 3 programs? Yes, there is. Okay, yes. Anonymous, what is the EMF output of the MagHealy, the magnetic field it generates? You will find that information in the instructions for use. The size of the maximum size of the magnetic field, which is measured when it's close to the, closest to the McHealy. Yes, the maximum strength of the magnetic field is given in your instruction for use manual. I've forgotten what it is. But what I do know that's interesting, or do remember, is that the maximum frequency, in hertz, your Healy, by the way, can only deliver a maximum of 1 kilohertz, 1,000 hertz. MagHealy can deliver 12.5 megahertz. So that's interesting for people interested in frequencies and higher frequencies, which are used in some areas. It's possible, and time waiver frequency experts can create programs individually using specific frequencies. Okay, going down. Can't, about foot harmony, I don't know, Eva. Sleep program, run it anytime before sleep, during sleep, generally. I put the MagHealy under my pillow. I run my beauty program, my all-night beauty program. Not every night, but sometimes. And I put it onto my pillow so I don't see the flashing lights, and it's fine. It's good. It's a lot easier than the wires that I was using. I don't want to portray myself as somebody like obsessed with beauty, but sometimes I like to wake up and look at my skin and go, wow. That's not what I used to see when I wake up in the morning. So it definitely helps with moisturizer and the frequencies and good moisture works. Asking the questions like, what's the difference between the atmosphere sleep program and the Mc Makin sleep program? As they say in London, apples and pears. We can't compare them because with Mc Makin, it's possible to see exactly which frequencies are in the program. But with all of the other 3 categories, you can't, because they're databases of frequencies, which each contain maybe 20, 30, 40 frequencies, and the quantum sensor is choosing the top 3 each time. So you couldn't compare. There are more frequencies in those programs, and they are different frequencies. Carolyn Mc Makin's frequencies, by the way, range from 0.1 hertz up to 100 hertz? No, let me just see here. 1,000 hertz. I've got lists and lists of frequencies. 1,000 hertz is the highest. But with the ordinary programs on Healy or MagHealy, they go up to, as I said, 1 kilohertz. 1 kilohertz? No, 1 kilohertz. Okay. Which is 1,000 hertz, I know. People are saying thank you. Good. How much does the MagHealy cost? Patricia, dear, if you have a link, if you are already a Healy member, you go into your shop and you see how much it costs. If you're not a Healy member, you can ask me for my link. I'll send it to you and you can create an account. Depending on where you are, you see, it costs slightly different. I don't want to give you the price in euros or pounds. If you live in the States, for example. 1 or 2 more questions. My anti-aging overnight program is 4 hours, and I find the MagHealy can run for 4 hours. I'm pretty definite you can also run it while it's plugged in to charge. But of course you wouldn't have the charger beside you. I don't. All right, good. I think we are nearly done. Let me just see if there was anything else I wanted to share. There were other things, but if we've run out of time, I'm not going to share them probably. yeah, that's it. I'm not going to share anything else. I'm just going to let you see me so that if you have no questions, no more questions, we will finish. Laurie, I noticed you mentioned using 2 Healys. Oh, yeah. Using 2 Healys, that's a good question, Laurie. So before MagHealy came along, I have been making FSM programs for people because I'm passionate about FSM and seeing the difference that it makes. So I've made FSM programs for people who have 2 Healys with the series of frequencies for channel A running on Healy A at the same time as the series of frequencies for the tissues running on channel B. I've created the concussion program, which is spectacular. It's just so useful, not just for people with concussion, but for people who've had shocks and traumas, head injuries, even small head injuries over time. And they're on my website. If you type in FSM on my expert program page, I might just show you, I'll try to show you. Then you'll see how to find it. And you might think it's a hassle to run 2 programs at the same time. And by the way, it would have to be with wires. So you got 4 sticky electrodes to deal with, but it works. So on my expert program page, there is a section down here. Just quickly go through the instructions. And here you see FSM you can click on, or you can click on MagHealy FSM. So MagHealy FSM is for people with MagHealy, but the other one is for people who don't have MagHealy, but do want what you've just asked for, which is the two programs, Healy A and Healy B. There's one, brain fog, channel A and channel B, and concussion A and concussion B. Those 2 are MagHealy programs. Mold Clear, I made it for a family last week who needed the whole family to, they have a MagHealy, they needed the whole family to benefit from the frequencies to clear mold toxicity. So that's possible with a MagHealy. Okay, I'm going to stop share now and probably say bye-bye. That Laurie's question. Anonymous attendee, would you please contact me, breegehanlon@gmail.com. You see my email address there. Thank you, everybody. I don't want to keep you any longer. You can always email me, okay? Yeah, you can always email me. I really appreciate your attention, your interest in these subjects. And I hope that you'll be more confident to use your MagHealy. Take care. I will email you with the recording in the next few days. Okay, bye-bye.